Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching A Dire Situation. Today I'm seeing... Just read the title. That's what I'm seeing. They've made 5 of these. So, where should I begin, Should I begin with the fact that each and every one of these movies is terrible? That the mise-en-scène makes it hard to remember anything that happens in the movie. I still actually do not recall the plots of them, even though I saw the first 3. The fact that they keep changing the storyline and the timeline of events, like when the creatures arrived on Earth and stuff. Do I mention just how fucking annoying most of the people in the movie are? Do I mention how the comedy is so badly placed? Do I mention how the editing sucks? How the lighting sucks and it makes everything look like it's fucking sunset, like 24/7? Do I mention how the action is disorienting and how many shots are reused throughout the film? Do I mention any of that? Well, I guess I just did, but, like, what's the point? Honestly, I want to know, what is the point of reviewing this movie? No matter what I say. Hell, even if I were, like, a popular critic, which I'm not, even if, like, my videos got, like, tens of millions of views, and everybody who watched it loved it, so fucking what? Millions more will still watch the fucking movie. Millions have watched the movie before I've even stepped into the theater. And no matter how bad the reviews are, the director of this movie will not give a shit, because that's just who he is. And the studio doesn't care, of course, because they're making billions. Hell, this movie will probably go over to China and another Chinese billionaire will buy out all the seats again, like last time. Oh, Jesus Christ. So what's the point? I don't know. Honestly. I've tried to come up with reasons why I am going to actually watch this, even though I know exactly what's going to happen in this. It's gonna be 2.5 fucking hours long, and I'm going to feel like I wanted to die the whole time, and I won't remember a damn thing that happens in it. So, yeah, like The Revenant. And, Jesus, it's... oh, God. So here's the thing. Ever since I started this, 2 years ago, I believe, I started watching 2 movies a week. And that's what I do. I watch 2 movies a week, review 2 movies a week. Sometimes more, if there's more in my theater. But, you know, always a minimum of 2. That has been my hard and fast rule for over 2 years. I am breaking that rule today. Transformers is the only movie playing in my theater. It's the only movie playing in any theater in a 5-mile radius. I'd have to venture very far out of my way to watch a second one. Here's the thing. The movie I'm about to watch is going to be so awful. I know it's going to be so awful. It's going to be so fucking long that it's kind of like I am seeing 2 really shitty movies at the same time. So, considering that, considering I've spent 2 years without breaking it, and considering that this movie is such a piece of shit, and honestly I could come up with a plethora of excuses for not watching it. For instance, I know exactly what the fuck's going to happen. That I could technically just do the after portion, like, now, and it would have the exact same effect. I could do it. But no, I have decided to instead sacrifice that second movie just to have the strength to watch this one. So, just give me a break, okay? That's all I ask for. I am going to be technically breaking the rules here, but fuck it. I cannot handle another movie for a week. I just can't. This is going to be that bad. So, what are my expectations? Well, I expect it to be bad. What are my hopes? My hope, this is my desperate hope, I don't think this movie has even a slight chance of being amusing at any particular point. So, my only hope for this is that I will drop dead the split second before I enter the theater, so I do not actually have to watch any part of the movie. That's the only hope I have. In case that happens, I have put it in my last will and testament to post this portion of the video to YouTube, as well as cremate my body and throw the ashes into Michael Bay's face. So yeah, hopefully you will not see me again. It didn't happen. So, I guess I should mention the good things about the movie. Some VFX artists, very talented ones, got paid. The theater was air conditioned and it was very hot out today, so it felt nice. The movie is probably better than Mass Genocide. That's about it. So, along with all the other things that I mentioned about how awful the movie is, it came up with at least one new thing to also piss me off. I don't know if it was in the other movies, but it was certainly in this one. During scenes, especially fight scenes, the aspect ratio would shift, seemingly at random. For those kids who don't know what aspect ratio is, you notice that the sides of this video have like the black bars on the side. That's because this video is filmed in full screen, and its aspect ratio is not as wide as the YouTube format. And during certain scenes, especially during the action ones, it would shift. Not by a lot, not as dramatically as this is, but it would shift slightly narrower, slightly wider, in between shots. No particular reason for it. It didn't correspond to actions or moments or anything of importance. Which leads me to believe two things. Well, for one thing, I know it's not a projection error. If it were the projector, it wouldn't correspond to individual shots because the projector has no way to differentiate those things. So, it's down to two things. One, they were so incompetent that they didn't set the aspect ratio correctly on certain cameras, which I am unable to believe. And number two is, it was on purpose. Most likely just to fuck with people like me. Because I'm sure the layman probably doesn't even notice. But for me, it's all I could look at. Just that fucking aspect ratio just going over and over. Whenever they cut. Not that there was much to take in, but during the final action scene, I'm not even sure what the hell happened, just because I kept looking at the aspect ratio. But yeah, all the other things are there too. Movie's supposed to be funny, but many different jokes don't land correctly because it's edited so incompetently. My favorite is one where the earlier in the movie we see like these Knights of the Round Table thing. They're like fighting some barbarians and stuff, and they're on horseback, right? Well, later on in the movie, we see these people playing polo on horses, and it's playing the same music and everything, and clearly it's meant to be a joke of some sort, because polo is not very exciting in comparison. But seemingly nobody in the audience even seemed to realize it was supposed to be a joke. I only figured it out in reflection. Because, you know, they don't give a shit. Honestly. Michael Bay has so much contempt for his audience that he doesn't care. He knows they'll just buy it, they'll just watch the movie anyway. Even if it's about nothing at all. I'm sure the next movie will probably be, I don't know, the Transformers fighting like 1920s mafiosos. And they'll be like Mafius Prime, who smokes a cigar and farts a lot. And everyone will clap because it's funny. So, what else is there to say about it? I'm sure you could watch like 100 other critics come up with like 100 separate individual things, all on their own. I think this must be where Batman v Superman got its techniques, because there is so many things fundamentally wrong with the movie that I could not even begin to get into them in this one video. Nor am I going to try. So, I guess I'm just going to have to go with this. Thank you. I am deeply thankful to this movie. I mean it. This is my Madagascar 3. This is my Scary Movie 5. This is my Meet the Blacks. This is my Magic Mike XXL. Because, you know, I see a lot of bad movies. A lot of bad movies. I'd say minimum 2 movies a month that I see are just god-awful. But sometimes you need a movie like this to really put everything in perspective. And realize that at least they're not all like this. I mean, sure, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword was a piece of crap, but at least it's not as successful as this. I mean, sure, Gods of Egypt, you know, same thing. It's not as successful as this was. The Triple X series, yeah, sure, they're incompetent, but they aren't like blatantly disrespectful to the audience like this one is. The Fast and the Furious movies are pig-headed, but like they have a point, and most of the time I can tell what's going on and what the characters are feeling. Even if it's like caveman feelings, it's still there. And for all of those movies, at least they're 2 hours or less. So yeah, for at least the next few months, I'm just going to be thankful that this series, as bad as it is, as horrible as it is, as wretched as it is, that so many people will pay so much money to watch it. It only comes out once every 3 years. There's no expanded universe pumping out these things every 6 months. There's no bullshit hardcore fan base that defends everything the movie does. Because, you know, most people who even bother to give it critical thought hate it. At least, like, I don't know, it's ripping into Transformers, you know, the 1980s toy line. You know, I guess it's nostalgic to some people, but, you know, it's not like an offensive remake. Like, you know, it's not something you can easily, like, ruin. You know, it's not like RoboCop or something. And, yeah, just gotta think, like, what if every movie was like this? And then I can't help but feel thankful. Honestly. I'm thankful for the world I live in. I am thankful that most movies are not like this. I am thankful that I can go into a theater and 99.999% of the time I will not see a movie anything like this. I am deeply thankful. And I'll see you back here next week. And until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dire Situation.